Hello, last time on here I posted a vintage deck I used to play featuring Gengar and Togepi. Here's that video there, you may remember last time. Now I'm going to go through the other stack of this other vintage deck I used to play, which was around the Neo Genesis Lugia. Now, again, this is probably going to have a few of these Gengar deck cards mixed in here because it was all in the same box in my mom's closet. And I'll also make an important disclaimer that this is not a actual Neo Genesis Lugia. We used to do a thing, we called it using proxies, where you print out a card on just regular paper, and that way you can play with the card. Now, occasionally people would have the rule, well, you have to have either an English or Japanese copy off to the side. I happen to have an old book that I also found in the same closet featuring Lugia. And just to give a little share, I was really happy to find these guys, the Japanese Lugia with the cosmic pattern. Ooh, and a nice little swirl on that guy. I was happy to find these because I thought that I got swindled when I was a kid. There was a legend that the Mew promo, we had never seen a Mew card ever, and then the Mew promo, there's a legend that there's only like 8 of them in the world or something like that. And I thought that I had traded one of my Japanese Lugias. I got some Japanese packs for Christmas from my grandmother, and there were 3 packs, and I ended up opening up 3 Lugias. And I thought I had traded one, but I guess maybe I was going to trade, but then the gym leader intervened and was like, hey, don't rip off this kid. I was the kid. And glad someone intervened. So anyway, that's my nice Lugia book, and we're going to go over that Lugia deck I used to play. And just for good measure, we'll have Lugia in the background here, as well as the CD for the first movie featuring Lugia. This CD, of course, has bangers like that opening song. What does it go again? Disturb not the harmony of fire, ice, or lightning. Do, 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 do. And I think I will pull Togepi and Gengar off of the board and replace them. I don't have a Lugia figure. I have a Moltres. We could just pop them up there. And then we could have the other Moltres be a stand-in for Articuno. I think Articuno and Moltres have a nice relationship. They'd be okay with that. And Slowking, who's kind of like a chief priest of Lugia in the movie. We'll have Slowking there and be the representative for Lugia as we sort through these different cards and see what we have in this old deck I used to play. Now, this is a cool one, too. I mean, aside from being first edition, I threw a Miltank in here just to have a few more Pokemon in play. One thing, of course, we all remember the traumatic experience of facing Whitney and her Miltank, and so that was just another little ferocious Pokemon from the anime to have in there while I'm running this Lugia deck. And another cool one, I always liked the look of these Rocket cards. They were some of my favorite, of course, in the history of it. They're the early cards being featured with art because we already had the 150 Pokemon, so the interesting art was really what the new thing was coming out with the Rocket cards, and even the trainers had interesting art there. This is really cool. So back then, I was running a tech that had essentially just 6 Pokemon in the whole deck. 4 Lugia, those are the heavy hitters. The rule with this one, pop fire, ice, and lightning, or fire, water, and lightning energy if you like, but we're going canon. Onto Lugia, and then you discard them all to blast 90 damage. And for a basic, and at that time, that was pretty good. That was going to wipe the board with pretty much everything. And then, of course, I had Miltank that could run around paralyzing, eating away damage, a little reminiscent of Whitney's Gym, of course. And then most of my trainer cards are things that are just looking to cycle through, get me my Lugia, and get me the right combination of energy. Things like Professor Elm, so that I can re-get that hand. I always loved Challenge, because that was just a fun thing. It's where we both, I let the other player pick. Do they want us both to fill our benches? And hang on, let me read this a sec. Yep. Okay, so this is a fun Rocket card. It's that you give a challenge, and if your opponent accepts the challenge, well, if they decline, you just draw 2 cards. So that's great. It's a bill. If they accept, you both fill your deck or fill your bench with basic Pokemon. And so for me, what that meant was I'm going to search my deck for 4 Lugia and 2 Miltank. And now I have every Pokemon loaded up. I have no Pokemon left in the deck, and I'm just going to be drawing energy and blasting out Elemental Blast for the rest of the game. And they're going to be loaded up with a bunch of basic Pokemon. So hopefully 90 damage is going to knock out most basic Pokemon that are out there. And so that's just a fun one to have in there. Erica's Invitation, of course, is another one. If your hand doesn't have anything to throw, any Pokemon to throw onto the bench or into active, you can search your deck for a basic Pokemon. That's great to have. I think the Berry and Goldberry might be some of my favorite cards from Gen 2. And I remember being a kid and resonating with the story where Pokemon began as a bug catching concept, and in the just delightful rural areas of Japan where the creator was living. And so that idea of these things you find in nature and then they apply to the game, I really like that because, if I'm out there catching bugs or finding acorns, the berry really hit home with that idea for me. And on that note, just a little pro tip here. If you have kids or you have nieces or nephews or other nibblings, as they're called, yes, that is the plural for nieces and nephews, or even just friends that have kids, you can keep a couple of things like this around. And this is just a little bug catching kit. It looks like a camper trailer. It's got little tools inside. There's tape on it, so I can't open it right now. But essentially, you keep a few of these around. You got a kid's birthday to go to. You wrap this puppy up, and now they've got a fun bug catcher ready to be inspired in the same way that the whole genre of Pokemon was inspired. So that's pretty much it for my Lugia deck. They're already in cards. Unlike my Psychic deck, which was really geared towards defeating this Lugia deck, because I only started playing it because another kid at the local Pokemon League was playing this and he was knocking everybody out, so I copied that. But of course, I built this Psychic deck with Ghost Pokemon even before I started playing this one, just to beat him. And I have another video, I'll link that there, my Gengar gang. And this one is already in sleeves. Unlike the Gengar gang, I had to put that in sleeves, so this has been a little quicker. I also have another deck to go through. I believe I called this one Poison Ivy. Had an Ivysaur. This Ivysaur poisons people. You get the idea. I was super cool. And this deck was in the same box with all these little figures that I found recently. I'll link that video as well. And we'll check out this portfolio another time. But thanks for checking out my old Lugia deck together.